Hi, this is Dr. Otto Janke for the Empire Longevity Podcast. Today, let's take a look at the disposable generation, part 2. You know, we look at the generations we have in America, and we have X, we have Y, we have Gen X, we have the baby boomers such as myself. And our parents and grandparents' age are looking at to be called the greatest generation. A terrifying thing has been actually exposed by COVID, and that is a disposable generation. Our healthcare system has some massive gaping holes in it, and we don't have an opportunity to actually care for people statistically over the age of 54 in America. Let's take a look at this. Of the 756,000, this is November 10th of 2021, 756,962 people who have died of COVID, an astronomically large amount of them have been over the age of 50. Astronomically. If you look at the 18.18% of the people who have died of COVID between the ages of 50 and 64, between 65 and 74, it's 22.63%. 75 through 84, it's 25.96, and 85 on up, it's 26.68. We put those together from 50 to over 80, over the 80, 85. We start to look at an astronomical large amount of people. 93% of all the people in America who have died of COVID are over the age of 50. My question has got to be, and this is just why is that? I don't mean to downplay any of the deaths whatsoever. And not that an older death or younger death is more important or less important than, or less significant than either. I'm just trying to point out some dramatically gaping holes and some scary, scary numbers coming at us. If we look at the age of 65 on up, we still look at 75% of all the people in America who have died of COVID have been over that age. 75%. We add in the 50 to 64s, we look at 93.45%. 93.5% of all the people who have died of COVID in America are over the age of 50. And so the question we're going to have to ask over and over again is, why is that? Is COVID, is the deaths of those people the resultant of decades of lack of health or lack of caring for health? Or could our healthcare system, which was so adamant upon being the greatest fire people, to put the fire out on a regular basis, fire rescue teams, put the fire out, but never build the house to be better again, are now we seeing the ramifications of that in 2021 from decades of philosophies of that type of healthcare? Are we seeing now the long-term ramifications of an ideology in healthcare to not help people be better, but to decrease their symptoms instead? Great question. In France, 75% of the people, 73% of the people over the age who had died in France of COVID over the age of 75. We start to see in Germany, in the UK, we're starting to see almost the same, we're seeing same patterns along the way. And it's a stark number. If we look at from 40 to 49 in America, 4% of the people who died of COVID were ages of 40 through 49. Well, you take one step up, 50 to 64, it's quadrupled. People couldn't have just got caught 4 times as ill health in that one decade time frame. Or could they have? A very, very interesting aspect of this all is we look at the whole country, the whole continent of Africa. Africa has had an astoundingly, well, they've done quite well against COVID. Now, why is that? Well, if we start looking at the age of the average African, it's dramatically less. It's a decade or two less than the average ages of the European countries and America. Second of all, they may have reached herd immunity dramatically earlier. And the third thing is that from readings is that they have many more viral infections. So therefore, maybe they were able better to withstand this. But still, we have to come back to why in America do we have a stark demarcation, boom, right there, of over the age of 50? It seems rather obvious that our healthcare system says, no, you're on your own there, Johnny. A stark demarcation line, boom. That we have 93% of the people who died of COVID over the age of 50. Again, is this the long-term ramifications of ill health that was propagated by the ideologies, by philosophies and ideologies in our healthcare system to only take care of symptoms and not propagate health and wellness into longevity? It sure seems like we haven't. And we've left that up to, well, you're on your own on this one. And we really have no game plan. We have no game plan for people over the age of, well, 50, statistically saying over the age of 50. And for the people who are listening to this and saying, well, it stinks for you people over there, understand you are going to be those people. You will be in this demographic sooner or later. You're going to get here. And I make this statement because I speak with groups in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And they say, well, it's bad for you people over there because you're old people. It's like, if everything goes correctly, you're going to be in that group also. And what are you doing now to make sure that this doesn't affect the next virus, because there will be a next virus? What are you doing to make sure that the next virus does not devastate America like it does now? You got to start taking the steps now. As an article I read just the other day, they talked about food as medicine, exercise as medicine, sleep as medicine, as some of the keys for you to reach your next best decades into longevity. Guess what they didn't talk about? Medicine as best medicine. Isn't it astounding? They look at everything else saying, well, this is how you get there. No one talks about you taking more and more medications to be able to get into your best health, to get into longevity. They talk about the same things we talk about in Empire Longevity ad nauseum. Some of you say to me, you talk about the same things. Well, it's because we need to get these things. These are the foundation things. We need to get these rock solid, because undoubtedly we are not. How do I know? Statistically speaking, 93% of the people died of COVID in America over the age of 50. You and I who are listening to this, to the generations who are after us, need to take a stand and absolutely rally for better care starting at birth, because we know the foundations of our longevity starts back then. Our foundations for our health and our longevity starts in our young years, our teens, our 20s. We need to start the foundation back then so that we can then actually pick the healthiest fruit off the trees that have been there the longest. Reap the benefits of the work that was done decades before into our next best decades and into our longevity. We start planting those seeds now in our teens years, our 20s, our 30s, and we reap the benefits of the work we did then in our 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s. 93% of the people who've died of COVID in America are in the age groups of 50 and over. This is just an atrocity. It's being swept under the carpet. It's not being talked about. We need to raise that light and make a stand. I'm more than happy to help you every single inch of the way. We will educate you, push you, teach you, entertain you, and sometimes kick you in the ass to help you get there. Because we need to. Because we need to. I'm Dr. Otto Janke. Thank you for being with us on the Empire Longevity Podcast.